What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for joining the live stream tonight. Boy, do we have a lot to discuss. We have a lot to discuss, at least from my standpoint. We have a lot to discuss. I have a lot to say, actually, more than just discuss. Really, I kind of like last live stream. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. That last live stream. First off, what do y'all think about the background? Do y'all like the background with my logos and all that? Do you like the little background here with the screen? Let me know what y'all think about that. I kind of created this on my own, so let me know if you like it. Also, get in the comment section as you're getting in here. Basically, we're going to be talking about a couple things. I'm going to be talking about. I rewatched because I know we watched it together last time, but I rewatched David Tepper's press conference about the whole ordeal, and then I also watched Steve Wilkes' press conference recently, and I actually I took some notes from it and kind of give you my opinion about it, and then and then we're gonna go over basically, learn about your opponent. What I like to talk about is go over the basically this week 6 matchup against the Los Angeles Rams. Kind of just what we can expect from the Rams. So just basically a little bit of preview of what we can expect from the Rams. Not necessarily a preview about the game. I'll definitely talk about that. Before we get in here, make sure you pound that like button, subscribe to the channel, and then also get in the comment section among yourselves. Also, you can follow me at Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Obviously, it's all down there as well. But anyways, also today's live stream is provided by as always, as of right now, betusa.com. Link it down in the description. Get 125% sign up bonus on your first deposit, and also you can use promo code Pantherology to get some free money to bet with. So if you're a betting degenerate like me, I would go use it. So I know last time when I ended my live stream, it was super quick. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I almost shit my pants on that last live stream. I was literally about to go blow up this toilet. So just wanted to let y'all know if I ended it weirdly last time, it was just because I was literally about to shit my pants. So figured I'd had to apologize about that and ending it so weirdly. The King, what's up, man? How's it going? Appreciate you joining the live stream. All y'all that are in here, appreciate all y'all. Make sure you pound that like button as you're coming in. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new raw content. All right, so I've got a lot to talk about. I really want to discuss what I took some notes from David Tepper's press conference. Hold on, I got a protein shake here. Yeah, that was a protein shake. Not gonna lie. All right, so I got some takeaways from David Tepper's press conference. First things first is that when he talked about Steve Wilkes, I could notice that in his tone, there was a lot of confidence in this guy, or at least a lot of confidence coming out of David Tepper's mouth about Steve Wilkes. And I think there's a lot of faith that he has in Steve Wilkes. And hopefully with Steve Wilkes, the fact that he's so respected, you know what I mean? Hopefully he can bring back that respect to the Carolinas. I think he's a highly regarded guy, obviously in Carolina, being from here and stuff like that. So hopefully he can bring back the respect to the Carolina Panthers. Like I said, he's a highly regarded head coach. He'll take over as Matt Rule's interim. And he will have a large sample size to show himself if he's deserving of the position, right? And if all goes well, Wilkes might become the long-term head coach, according to David Tepper. Although the owner will most certainly cast a broad net, I think, out there in search of someone capable of bringing this organization back to relevance. Now, under Wilkes, everyone will be pulling, in the same direction, but the challenge ahead of him is tremendous, especially with yet another quarterback injury. And now, as of right now, I will go over the injury report. I do know that as of right now, they did say that Baker Mayfield could miss 2 to 6 weeks, but then Steve Wilkes did announce today that he actually could be day-to-day. So is that a good thing? I don't know. Is it a bad thing? I don't know. Do I trust PJ Walker back there at the helm? At this point, I don't care who you throw back there. Let's just see what happens, right? We'll get more into that later on. But then also from David Tepper, I took down some notes, kind of hearing based off what his reasons behind firing Matt Rule. And, his reasons are valid, I think. But, Matt Rule was fired for a variety of reasons. It wasn't just one thing. I mean, despite the fact that everything seemed to be falling around him, his only consolation in the face of unrelenting struggle was the backing of the team owner, David Tepper. So there will always be a tipping point at some point, I think. It turned out to be Tepper's impression of energy dwindling after another dreadful home defeat, to the 49ers in week 5. Now, something the billionaire had never really seen before, I think, and I think he responded appropriately. Now, Tepper has made a lot of big talk since buying this organization from Jerry Richardson, but with very little action, in my opinion, to back it up. So this is the last thing he wanted after his off-season issues with the whole Rock Hill project. And then also the other offseason issues, and that it just became a whole catastrophe, just falling down, right? I think Rule was plainly in over his head, and Tepper may have been the last to recognize this, but I think it's better now than later on, right? Why is this? Dude, why is my music so loud? Sorry about that. I think it was way too loud, wasn't it? That's good right there. All right. Now, another thing I took away from David Tepper, there wasn't much comments on Scott Fitterer. I think another significant thing throughout David Tepper's press conference was, the long-term success plan, right? Getting over the hump. That's all we heard. And it's like, what does that entail? Getting over the hump. And he kind of explained it like winning. So basically going from 5-11 to 8-9, winning more than you did last year. Not one win, but you got to at least get 2 or 3 more wins every year than you did last year, I think, is what makes a head coach. So, like, if you go 5-11 your first year, you better have 7 to 8 wins your next year. If you go 7 and 8 wins next year, you better have 9 to 10, or 9 to 11, whatever, right? Now, I think this includes this whole long-term success plan, whatever, getting over the hump. This includes concerns regarding, I think, General Manager Scott Fitterer's future, right? Now, Matt Rule, the front office figure, I think has taken the bulk of the criticism here. And then, the whole thing was through this whole press conference was when he was questioned about the possibility of Fitterer guiding the Carolina Panthers during the impending head coach search in 2023, whether that they decided to choose Wilkes or not. Tepper didn't even mention anything about the future with him and the team. Now, moving ahead, though, Tepper, I think, is focused on improving the Panthers and balance out this organization and structure it correctly, which was made. Now, much was made of Rule having the last say on personnel decision as part of his contract, which the owner does not want to, I think, repeat. I don't think David Tepper wants to repeat that. So while there was some clear disappointment in Tepper's attitude, I felt like I don't think it will stop him from taking further chances in order to bring the Panthers where he imagined them they might go, right? And it would be surprising to me if Fitterer was not given the option to select his own head coach and go from there. However, I think that will rely on Tepper's perception of his time in the position that he's been in so far. Now, when it comes to the whole I think another thing that was tested was not just only our patience, but I think David Tepper's patience was tested. As relentlessly the questions throughout this whole press conference with David Tepper, you could tell he was getting overwhelmed, and it was evident that his tolerance was really getting pushed to the limits. And to put it as straightforward as possible, you could tell he was very unpleasant discussing all of this. Like, Tepper was not pleased with a certain reporter who comment about waking up and choosing fire rather than giving the firing more thought, which was followed by other odd statements before the Carolina Panthers media team had to intervene. And you could tell Tepper was dissatisfied, but he had what was coming to him. He wants to be a winner and be regarded in the NFL circle, but both of which appear to be further away than ever, I think. And under his ownership, Carolina has gone from a playoff team to a national joke. And firing Matt Rule was the first step in the right direction, I think. But Tepper has a great way to go before I think he can regain, at least for me, regain confidence in him and I think others as well. So that's kind of my takeaways from David Tepper's press conference. Guys, if you're just joining in here, I just went over basically my takeaways from David Tepper's press conference. This coach isn't fixing shit. There's not much he can do right now, man. He just got the interim head coach. Yeah, well, Matthew Dunn, it's not like it's going to happen overnight, man. You can't get a quarterback overnight. You can't draft a quarterback now. You can't make trades and get a better O-line. The O-line has not been the problem this year, technically. I would probably, if I had to go like 1 through 5, what the problem was with this whole offense, I would probably put the O-line like at 4th, like out of all 3 things. Number one problem with this offense was Matt Rule. Number 2 was Ben McAdoo's play calling. 3, Baker Mayfield's playing. I would say I would even maybe put actually the wide receivers not getting open and running their routes correctly. And then 5, the offensive line. Honestly, I don't think our offensive line has been that terrible this year. So still need a quarterback. Well, guys, we all want a quarterback, but it ain't going to happen now. See, we're now in the stages that y'all have to understand that as Carolina Panther fans, right now is the time that you're going to have to be patient. Now you have to be patient because either this is what's going to happen. Either Steve Wilkes is going to come in here and turn things around and he actually miraculously does it, or we're going to hire somebody to come in here and we're going to have to basically clean house and have a fire sale to be able to get draft capital and open up our cap space to be able to bring in what we want, which is what everybody's asking for: a new quarterback, more to improve the offensive line a little bit more. And you're going to have to get rid of guys that maybe we might not want to get rid of, but you're going to have to understand that's how this league works. That's how the NFL works. It's not like college football where you can recruit a guy and he's going to be there next year. So people are going to have to understand that, like Matthew Dunn right now is complaining in here saying this coach hasn't fixed shit. Well, he just got freaking interim head coach. So what do you want him to do, Matthew Dunn? He just got switched over. Matt Rule just got fired. This stuff does not happen overnight. And even when it does happen, it's going to take 2 to 3 years to rebuild this team all over again. Unless, like I said, unless Steve Wilkes miraculously fixes this team. So I don't want to hear this coach isn't fixing shit yet because he just got named interim head coach. What do you want him to do? Patience. Patience. You got to have patience. Because right now, either it's going to be a miraculous turnaround or it's going to be a shit show. And then Steve Wilkes will be gone and most of the staff will be gone and players will be gone and a new coach will be in. Who that coach may be, I don't know. Now, let's talk about Steve Wilkes. Let's talk about what he has to do, number one, to fix this team, but number two, to possibly get himself into the head coaching position, right? And let's start off with the fact that I think Steve Wilkes has to restore faith back in the Carolina Panthers, whether that's the organization, whether that's the fans, whoever, or the whole shebang, honestly. He's going to have to restore the faith of these players, restore the faith of this, the front office, restore the faith in these fans. To bring everything back together, you're going to have to show that, he's respectful. He is a respectful man around the Charlotte area and in North Carolina. We all know that. All right. And trust me, there was some satisfaction felt for me when Matt Rule was finally fired. And I think that's maybe being an understatement, honestly. And we know that the whole fans and the whole atmosphere of that stadium and this organization has been at an all-time low, in my opinion. And I think practically everyone had just gotten tired of witnessing just such a absolute garbage, dumpster fire of a football organization and football team. Which should not be the case because this team is way too talented, in my opinion, to be that. And Steve Wilkes must begin to restore, I think, the Carolina's pride. And he's from the neighborhood, like I said, and he understands what keep pounding means. Which could, I think, help him in the face of some stiff competition in the next coming weeks. With that being said, like I said before, Wilkes is a respected man. So I think the whole morale of the Bank of America Stadium, I'm hoping will be different when the Panthers come back home week 7 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right. Guys, make sure you pound that like button as you're coming in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Feel free to get in the comment section. There's 7 people watching. Share the live stream also, guys. That always helps. All you have to do is share it. Facebook, Twitter. It always helps. So I would appreciate it. So basically I'm going to continue talking about, if you're just joining, I've already talked about, basically I gave my takeaways on the David Tepper's press conference, and now I'm just talking about my expectations for Steve Wilkes. So if you missed it, it's all good. No worries. Basically, if you're just getting in here, I'm just going to repeat myself one more time. I I just got done talking about the basically my takeaways from David Tepper's press conference. And then now I'm talking about what I expect from Steve Wilkes from here on out. At least from, the standpoint that what he can do, right now, and what position in the position that he's in. Can't expect much from him right now, but I think the one, that like I was saying before, the first thing is just restoring the respect and faith back into these fans and players and into this organization. Like I said, he's from the neighborhood. He understands what keep pounding means. And I think that can help him in the long run. And with the fact that Wilkes is respected as a man and a coach of this organization and this team, I'm hoping that Bank of America Stadium will be different once we host the Buccaneers in week 7. So, guys, make sure you pound that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Feel free to get in the comment section amongst yourselves. You can say whatever you feel free to say. If I disagree with it, I disagree with it. If I don't, I don't. It's not a big deal. Nothing against you, Matthew Dunn, but this coach isn't fixing shit. Well, I just had to get on you a little bit because I don't know if you just know or not, but he just got hired as the interim. So, all right. So another thing that he's going to have to do, and he's going to have to do it as best as he can, right? It's not like this is something you can't fix overnight, like I was saying before. The quarterback issues, it's not going to happen overnight. These quarterback issues are not going to happen overnight, be fixed overnight. All right. Now, whether that's based off, I'm going to continue to talk while I'm on the phone. Sorry, I gotta handle this real quick. But, after 5 weeks, it's been clear that Baker Mayfield is obviously not the person. He's not the long-term answer. He was brought in basically on a life raft for Matt Rule in a last-ditch effort to basically save his job, and that didn't work out. He's got a 16.5 QBR. He's been a total mental case, in my opinion, I think is what it is. He's got happy feet back there when he's throwing the ball, but I think it's also him coming into a new scheme, new system, new coach, new staff, new everything could be also the problem. Also, it could be the fact that Ben McAdoo's play calling has been absolute vanilla. It's basic as shit, and fucking defenses can read it from a mile away, and that's what happens. And he's, but if you go watch Baker Mayfield, if you go watch Baker Mayfield back in 2020, man, you go watch his game film. Every passing play, he was in shotgun formation or single back formation, play action, out to the left or out to the right, throwing the ball on the run, and he was throwing dimes. And pistol formation, same thing, all those kinds of plays, formations, and he was getting the ball out nicely, putting it in spots where it needed to be. I don't understand why nobody thought it'd be a good idea to watch that game film and do the same thing that he was doing for the Cleveland Browns, and then in 2020, that was probably his best year, in my opinion. And you go watch his game film, man, he was absolutely a stud. Ben McAdoo should have been fired too, in my opinion. I think he's absolutely god awful. He might be up there with Adam Gase in regards to worst NFL coaches of all time, because the guy's play calling is absolutely garbage. And you can read it from a mile away. A defense can read it from a mile away, and they get hammered. But anyways, anyways. There's no point of even continue that conversation. The fact is Baker Mayfield has had lack of contribution to this offense. The Carolina Panthers are going to have to now go without him anyways for several weeks due to his high ankle sprain, even though they say he's day to day, but I doubt he's going to be back. I guarantee you he'll be at least out for 2 weeks, at least. But he could be out 6 weeks. So who knows? Now, in terms of weaponry on this offense, there's a lot of talent. There's also much. I think this offensive line is a lot better than it was last year. It's also a much superior offensive line to depend on. But the performance doesn't really prove that. I'll be honest. I think it's definitely an improvement of an offensive line last year. Oh, I hear you. I don't disagree with that, Jeff. I honestly think we should have fired him after going 11-5 back, or 5-11 back to back seasons. You go 5-11 back to back seasons, then you need to go check your stats on how out of those 11 games, how many teams score, how many points did they score? And it obviously, because then it averages out that he was 1-27 or 1-26, whatever the final one was, when teams scored more than 17 points. I mean, that's just ridiculous, man. You're telling me that you can't beat a team that or you can't beat anybody, a team that if they score 17 points. That's just telling me that you absolutely suck. Because the average team in the NFL scores between 21 and 23 points. The average team, just the average. Not these elite teams like KC that you see and the Bills, Cincinnati. Those teams, San Francisco, obviously. All these teams that are playoff teams, they're scoring more than 17 points. And you're telling me that you go 1-27 when teams score more than 17 points and you can't put more than 17 points up on the board? There's a problem. And I don't know. There's been rumors, and I don't know how true they are, but apparently Phil Snow was the one who was running the defense and the offense. Oh, the stat alone. Well, when you're 1-26 and when teams score 17 or more points, David Tepper should have thought to himself, that's a real big fucking problem. But nah, let's keep him in there because he smells like me, sweats like me, looks like me, whatever bullshit that he kept saying about him, David Tepper basically having a hard-on for Matt Rule. Like, come on, man. Makes no sense. It makes no sense to keep somebody that long either. It really doesn't. It makes no sense to keep somebody on that long. Honestly. And, I don't understand. And that's the thing that I just don't understand to this day. But either way. So let's get back to the whole, I'm talking about Steve Wilkes and kind of like what my expectations are with him right now. I don't expect him to go, win. Honestly, I don't expect him to win more than maybe 3 or 4 games, if that. But, now we got PJ Walker back there, and he's been a rule guy since their days back in Temple. And I wonder if he had a job, if he would have a job at all if it weren't for him and Rule's long-standing relationship. And now he has the opportunity to quiet the haters like myself. I wouldn't even consider myself a hater. I just don't think he's NFL. I don't think he's a pro NFL starter in the NFL. Sorry, I just don't. And he's going to try to save his NFL career. Is this where you want to be and in the position to do that? Hell no. But here we are. And I think Wilkes must play the hand that he's been dealt and help Walker as best way he can. And in reality, there's things that are looking more dismal following those, these several terrible personnel changes. So we'll see what happens. But that's one of my things that I think, Carol, that Wilkes is going to have to do. He's going to have to fix the quarterback dilemma, and he's going to have to restore faith back into this organization, fans, and the players. Another thing he's going to have to do is, I'm going to kind of go back to the offensive side of the ball, is figure out this offense's identity, because it doesn't have one. Opposing defenses continue to expose us game in and game out. They're making it difficult for us to score. Ben McAdoo's concept is absolutely predictable. Like I said before, it's vanilla, whatever you want to call it. It's trash is what it is, and which has resulted in particularly no consistency, no productivity on thus far. And Matt Rule paid the price for it, but he had that coming in the first place anyways, right? Like I said, 1-27 against teams that score more than 17 points. There's a problem. Now, Ben McAdoo obviously learned nothing from Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator Kellen Moore while working with them. He was, he was a sharp-minded guy when he was with the Giants and as a head coach. He should have been collecting notes from a big-time play calling role again when he was over there. He should have been collecting notes, but obviously either he just has his mindset that he thinks that this offense can work in the NFL, but obviously it can't. It's very predictable. It's very basic. And the playbook shouldn't be that hard for anybody to read. So I don't want to hear any more excuses for anybody that's come over here to read this playbook, because it's obviously pretty damn easy for defenses to figure it out. So it shouldn't be that hard for offensive players to be able to run the fucking plays. It's frustrating, man. Talking about this shit. It's ridiculous. Ben McAdoo thinks he's like an innovator and a great play caller, I feel like. But he's trapped in his past, man. He's trapped in his past. Now, unless Wilkes has anything up his sleeve, I think Carolina's offense will continue to appear like a Sleepy Joe, non-existent in another world. And it'll be garbage play calling after garbage play call. Due to the fact that the man can't understand how to utilize his playmakers the way they deserve to be played. And honestly, I feel like DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, Laviska Shenault, Shi Smith, Terrace Marshall, Rashad Higgins, Deontay Foreman, Tommy Tremble, Ian Thomas, the whole offense, they all deserve better. But yet we've got a freaking Ben McDonald's McAdoo back there thinking he's like Ronald McDonald running the show, and he doesn't know his hamburger from a half past his ass. But yet I'm sure Ben McAdoo will eat about 10 of them motherfuckers. It's pissing me. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. The most basic ass play calling I've ever seen in my life. And this is supposed to be an RPO offense. Okay. Because you're not showing me an RPO offense. I can tell you that. The next thing that Wilkes is going to have to fix is, I think it's the defense is not bad. So let's go ahead and say this. This defense is not bad. It could be a top 10 defense in the league if we just had a average offense. If our offense was even just ranked 15th to 20th in the league, this defense be top 10. And up until the San Francisco 49ers game, though, this run defense appeared to be improving, in my opinion. However, then when you got injuries like Frankie Louvu, Xavier Woods, Jeremy Chin, obviously it was too much for them to overcome against a formidable offense, especially by trying to take down Jeff Wilson. Now, San Francisco rushed for over 153 yards total, setting the tone for and they set the tone for a dominant victory over us. And the Panthers faced a novel, a simple run strategy, and the defense is unable to keep up. And along with Matt Rule, defensive coordinator Phil Snow was let go by Steve Wilkes, which makes sense because probably Phil Snow was going to leave anyways, because Phil Snow is a Matt Rule guy and he follows Matt Rule around like he's his little bitch. So he had one of a kind method that had its moments, but was severely faltered, and when compared to new modern day run plans, so it wasn't going to work out anyways. We won't have long-term success on this defense if they can't stop the run schemes that are becoming very common in the league. And I think that comes down to Wilkes to try to fix that in a short period of time. Do I see it happening? I don't know. We'll see how good Wilkes really is, though, guys. Can he turn things around? Can he bring pride back? Can he turn this offense around? Can he give this offense an identity? Can he modify this defense a little bit enough to where we can actually be competitive in games where it's actually fun to go watch these games, right? In terms of Steve Wilkes, I expect to see more of a pro style defensive strategy moving forward. I think Wilkes excels at that part of his game plan, but whether the players can take up these improvements in season is a bigger issue at hand. It worries me more. I don't think anybody will work harder than Wilkes right now to try to get these Panthers back. However, I think the challenge might be just too much. So, guys, make sure you pound that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Go follow me down there at Roppstar92_. Yep, now you can see it. Roppstar92_. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, get in the comment section. All of that up there. So we talked about basically my takeaways from David Tepper's press conference. Then we talked about what I expect basically out of Steve Wilkes. And it's honestly just 4 little things. Basically, it's to bring back some kind of pride to this organization, to this team, to these players. Obviously, try to fix the quarterback dilemma if you can. Basically, can he fix PJ? Can PJ Walker when it finishes out through the year? Is Sam Darnold going to come back and maybe change this offense up a little bit? Or is Baker to come back and we're going to see a different Baker, right? Who knows? Probably neither one of those. But can Steve Wilkes maybe change it enough up to where we can be competitive again and respectful in this league? And then improving the offensive play calling, having an identity of what this offense actually is. And then just making some minor modifications on the defense, and probably going to switch it up to a pro style defense is what's going to happen. I guarantee you. So, yeah. Now, make sure you pound that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new videos or live streams. And also get in the comment section. Love to hear y'all's comments. Love to hear your thoughts. Go ahead, get in the comment section. And yeah, like I said, guys, we're talking about betusa.com. That's today's sponsor of today's live stream. Link is down in the description. First, use the link to sign up, get 125% bonus on your first deposit. Use promo code. It's just the channel's name, Pantherology. That's all you have to use. You'll get some free money out of it to bet with. If you're a betting degenerate like me, I like having free money to bet with because then I can make a massive parlay, even though it probably won't hit. But it's worth a shot. You never know. So, next thing we're going to get into now, because I talked about David Tepper's press conference, kind of just gave you my thoughts and takeaways on it. Now we're going to talk about, and I talked about Steve Wilkes and what my expectations are from him. Guys, if you're just joining the live stream, make sure you pound the like button. Also, if you obviously are just joining, I've already went over like 2 topics that I felt like that needed to be discussed. This live stream will be recorded, so you can always go back and watch it. Okay. But feel free to stay now and at least hang out for a little bit longer, because we're going to talk about we're going to learn about the Los Angeles Rams here for a minute. Now, 3 weeks from 3 weeks of home games at Bank of America Stadium straight, now we're traveling west over to Los Angeles to go against those Rams. And then, of course, we got our interim head coach, Steve Wilkes, tagging along and bringing this team over there, and we'll see what happens. Now, the Rams are 2-3. They're not looking the best either. They're going to face us. They're on a 2-game losing streak. So they're probably going to be looking to rebound against us, obviously. And they lost to the 49ers and Cowboys in consecutive weeks. Now, the Panthers all time, we are 13-9 all time against the Rams. And then we are 7-4 record away from home against the Rams. So the thing is for this offense, Cooper Kupp runs this offense, right? This offense runs based off of Cooper Kupp, right? There's nobody else. Cam Akers ain't doing nothing really. Darrell Henderson ain't that great. I kind of expected a little bit more out of Darrell Henderson, but Cam Akers hasn't been much. Allen Robinson, I feel like, has been non-existent from watching their games. And, I mean, they've been waiting for Tyler Higbee to break out, but he hasn't. Now, we know that Cooper Kupp last year was the NFL's Offensive Player of the Year. He has the most catches in the league right now, which is 49. He has the second highest yards per game, which is 105.4 yards per game, behind Minnesota's Justin Jefferson, who's number 1 right now. Now, Kupp, he is a big play threat, as we all know, with 5 20-plus yard long plays this season and an average of 10.8 yards per grab. This season, he has raced for he's already taken in about 267 yards after the catch, which is accounting for slightly more than half of his total receiving yards of 527. Now, last week against the Cowboys, Kupp caught the longest touchdown throw of his career, 71 yards to the end zone, making a one-handed catch on a short pass. He has 4 touchdowns this season. Now, Kupp, who leads the Rams, they're 18th. They have their 18th ranked passing game. He's obviously the biggest part of this offense's success. And the Rams ranked 18th in the league also with how many yards they're throwing per game. It's 237.4. Now, tight end Tyler Higbee is the Rams' second leading receiver right now. He has 33 receptions for 290 yards, 189 of them, which came in runs after the catch. And then wide receiver Ben Skowronki or something like that. I don't think that's how you pronounce it. And Allen Robinson have both surpassed 100 yards receiving this season. But that just shows you how much that Stafford's going to be throwing to Kupp, because that's crazy. Cooper Kupp's got 527 yards, but yet Tyler Higbee's got 290, and then the two other wide receivers only have 100 each. That shows how much they're one-dimensional, basically. Balance, what's going on, man? If y'all are just joining, like I said before, we're going over basically the Rams game now, just kind of basically learning a little bit about the Rams. So I like to call this section Learn About Your Opponent. But the first section was basically my thoughts and takeaways from David Tepper's press conference. And then basically my expectation from Steve Wilkes was the second part of this live stream. This live stream is going to be recorded, so you're more than welcome to go back and watch my take on both of those. As of right now, we're learning about the Los Angeles Rams. Now, Los Angeles relies primarily on the passing game, obviously. Its running assault ranks the lowest in the league, actually. They're averaging only like 62.4 yards per game. Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson have not rushed more than 155 yards this season, while Kupp's biggest run was 20 yards. So that shows you that they have no faith in the run game. Now, this is probably the reason why, though. Stafford's offensive line completely. I mean, their offensive line is completely just atrocious. Now, despite the value of Kupp that he offers to the Rams offense, this unit has struggled very dearly due to the fact of the increased amount of offensive line alignments, and it's been making Matthew Stafford's start of the season very difficult. And for one thing, Stafford played against the Cowboys behind his third center of the season, who is Jeremiah Cologne, and who was the Rams' 8th offensive lineman to start the game this season. And Los Angeles is then on the offensive line. Who does that remind you of? Oh, us. Now, with just their left tackle, they've got Joe Noteboom and right tackle Robb Havenstein starting all 5 games this season. Now, opposing teams have had no trouble generating pressure on Matthew Stafford, who is tied for the league lead in sacks. That's with the Colts quarterback as well, Matt Ryan. He's had been sacked 21 times this year. So Stafford and Ryan are also tied for the most interceptions thrown in the NFL this season, which is 7. So the Rams are prone to turnovers. Now, I'm not saying we're gonna don't think I'm sitting here saying we're gonna win this game, but there will be a preview and prediction stream or video, so be prepared for that. Through the first 5 weeks, though, they have turned over the ball 12 times, which is 31st in the NFL. And that's only ahead of New Orleans right now. The Rams have mishandled the ball 5 times, the second most in the NFL, and have tied for the league lead in interceptions, like I said, with the Colts. Now, week 5, Los Angeles gave up 9 of Dallas's 22 points on turnovers, including a fumble recovery for a touchdown on the first drive. And then early a block punt that resulted into a field goal. So this team is very turnover prone. Kind of reminds me of ourselves a little bit, though. Should be an interesting game. Overall, their offense has been kept to 16 points per game. Coincidence? If you're thinking what I'm thinking is that. So teams score more than 17 points. We're 1-26, 27. That's with Matt Rule. Now I know we're with Steve Wilkes. But if they're only scoring 16 points per game, do you think that Carolina actually might have a chance? Or maybe that's just too close for comfort, right? And they're ranked 29th in the league, despite facing the league's 2 greatest defenses, which are San Francisco and Buffalo, who are both rated 1st and 2nd, respectively, and the Cowboys, who are now ranked 9th in total defense. So then it comes down, let's talk about the Rams defense now. Aaron Donald, obviously, he's the guy that you want to point out on this competitive defense. You know, Los Angeles, I think, relies on their defense just the same way as we do, which has players like a defensive lineman, Aaron Donald, Bobby Wagner, the linebacker, Ernest Jones, cornerback Jalen Ramsey. Now, Donald, who is a 3-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, has 4 sacks, 6 tackles for a loss, and a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery this season to go along with his 21 tackles. In his performance last week, he caused a turnover and ended with 6 tackles and 2 sacks against Dallas's quarterback Cooper Rush. Now, Wagner, the Rams' leading tackler, he has 39 tackles and 2 sacks in the season. Jones, who ranks second on the team with 35 tackles and a tackle for a loss. The Rams boast the NFL's 9th best running defense in the league. They're only allowing 106.4 yards per game while keeping opponents to around 4.1 yards per attempt, which is okay. Through 5 games, they've allowed 23.2 points per game, which is ranking around 16th in the NFL. So, pretty interesting, right? Melvin Powell, thank you for joining the live stream, man. Appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Melvin Powell is saying, let's clean house, fix this team. Let's shop Christian McCaffrey for top picks from AFC team while he's healthy. Keep as much of our defense. Let some of those pieces go too. Let Robbie Anderson go too. Yep. Don't disagree with you, Melvin. Obviously, we are going to have to shop around a bunch of players. I do want to give an injury report real quick. The latest injury report that I've seen come out as of right now. Laviska Shenault, Baker Mayfield, Christian McCaffrey, J.C. Horn, and Stanley Thomas Oliver III did not practice. Laviska Shenault still dealing with that hamstring. As we all know, Baker Mayfield has an ankle issue. Christian McCaffrey, there's no issue with him. He's just resting. J.C. Horn still dealing with some rib issues. And then Stanley Thomas Oliver III, it's still his thigh. Limited in practice. C.J. Henderson's knee. And then Xavier Woods was very limited. And then tight end Stephen Sullivan, his back. Fully practiced. Frankie Luvu fully practiced today. Still dealing with a little bit of a shoulder problem. And DJ Moore as well, who's also dealing with a little bit of a shoulder problem, but fully practiced today as well. Yeah, I don't disagree with you there, Melvin. I've kind of said this before, and I'll say it again. There will be a couple players that will be traded, and be prepared to see this if they clean house, like I think they're going to, unless Steve Wilkes miraculously turns this organization around and this season around. You will see Christian McCaffrey being shot. He's already being shopped, but I can tell you right now, Christian McCaffrey will be a person that will be traded. Robbie Anderson will be a guy who will be traded. Even though Derek Brown right now, Derek Brown's one of those guys that could be traded, but he's playing so well right now, and we have a chance to pick up his 5th-year option. So he's playing very well right now, and he's playing for us to do that, obviously. So we'll see if we pick up his 5th-year option or if he gets traded. Another guy that I'm willing to throw out there, and I know this sounds crazy, but Dante Jackson, because of how much we paid him. If we could get rid of his contract, that leaves a lot of cap space open. It comes down to, obviously, as well, I think Shaq Thompson is a guy you'll probably see get traded. But the guys that you'll see, they'll still be here. You'll still see G.J. Moore. You'll still see Ike Ekwonu. You'll still see Taylor Moton. You'll still see I think you'll still see Derek Brown, though. I see Derek Brown still staying here. But I wouldn't be shocked if they traded him. You'll see Jeremy Chen still here. You'll still see JC Horn here. Actually, they might not get rid of Dante Jackson because now thinking about it, they'll probably get just rid of CJ Henderson. They'll trade away CJ Henderson. Who else? Who I think they'll trade away? Robbie. And that's probably about it. So they'll probably trade away most of those guys and then keep. All right, I got to write this down. Who do I think they're going to trade away and who I think will still be here? So if we do this fire sale, right? I got to write this down. So right now, trade. You're going to trade away probably CJ, Robbie, CMC. Probably going to have to get rid of Shaq. And when I mean get rid of him, you're going to trade him. So CJ, Robbie, CMC, Shaq. Feel like I'm missing somebody. I mean, as of right now, those are the four. I'm going to put Derek Brown in quotes, or actually right underneath in quotes, because even though he's playing very well right now, they could try to use him for some leverage and draft picks and cap space. So I would say Derek Brown's a guy you can see them get trading away. I mean, you could see. I also am going to put in quotes Dante Jackson just because of that contract we just signed him. I mean, I know we just signed the contract, but we could also see if someone's willing to take it, get a good trade out of it, and open up some cap space. But mainly, if you're able to trade away CJ Henderson, Robbie Anderson, CMC, and Shaq, I think you're going to get enough draft capital, and I think you would also be able to get enough, and it would open up enough cap space for us to make some signings as well through the free agency, through whichever case may be. If you're going to throw anybody else in there just in case, I guess you could say more of a just in case they need to trade some more guys away, I would probably say Derek Brown or Dante Jackson. There's the only two guys I could see them trading away. Now, you could say DJ, but I don't see them trading TJ. Who I think they're going to keep for sure, they're definitely keeping DJ. I think for sure they're keeping DJ. I think that they're for sure going to keep at least these are the key guys that I'm thinking of. Jeremy Chen. I think they keep Luvu because of the way he's playing. I think also I'm going to keep underneath, though. I am going to put Derek Brown, and I'm going to put underneath where keep is, where I'm writing it down. Underneath keep in quotes, I'm putting Derek Brown and Dante Jackson. I mean, they could trade them, but they're more of a just-in-case kind of ordeal, I think. Obviously, they keep Horn. Obviously, they keep Burns. They keep Icky. And then basically, and then you kind of just look clean. But that's going to be your fire sale. I could see four guys that will get traded away. It's CJ Henderson, Robbie Anderson, CMC, and Shaq for sure. Other than that, if we really need to make more trades, I see Derek Brown or Dante Jackson to get the draft capital and the cap space that we need to be able to set ourselves up for success in the next 2 to 3 years, depending who our next head coach is. Now, I don't discriminate by any means, nor am I racist, nor am I nothing. I don't care who the coach is, what color skin he is. I don't care any of that. I just want a guy that comes in here, knows NFL football, who can run the show, who knows how to scout guys, and knows how to run a scheme that fits this team and these players. And that's all I'm asking for. I don't want another college football coach. I don't want another a guy that's never had any NFL experience. That's what I want. So either give me Eric Bieniemy, give me Brian Leftwich, give me Sean Payton, because Sean Payton did say it's attractive, so I would take him. Who else am I missing? Kenny Dorsey. Give me Who's that defensive coordinator for San Fran? San Fran's defensive coordinator. So I'm going to write down. All right. So these are the next head coaches I'd like to see get hired. So I'm going to write all these down so I have them in my head. Steve Wilkes. I'd like to see Steve Wilkes get fired. If he does well and good enough here to stay here, I'm cool with it. Steve Wilkes. All right. Eric Bieniemy, offensive coordinator for KC. All right. Who's the boy? There he is. D'Amico Ryans. Okay. Defensive coordinator from San Francisco. Byron Leftwich. Okay. Ken Dorsey. Offensive coordinator, Buffalo Bills. I guess you got to throw Dan Quinn in the mix because of the fact that him and Scott Fitterer have relations. All right. Now, another one is the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. What is his name? Shane Steichen. Okay. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Oh, Sean Payton. Duh. There's a lot of options here, guys, that we can make this work for our head coach, for our next head coach. These guys can make it work. Steve Wilkes. Okay. This is no particular order, not 1 through 10, not 1 through 5. It does not matter to me, right? There's not a particular order here. I'm just naming names off. Steve Wilkes, Eric Bieniemy, D'Amico Ryans, Byron Leftwich, Ken Dorsey, Dan Quinn, Shane Steichen, Sean Payton. All right. Steve Wilkes, I will let you know, he's a defensive guy. Okay. Eric Bieniemy, he's an offensive guy. D'Amico Ryans, defensive guy. Byron Leftwich, offensive guy. Ken Dorsey, offensive-minded. Or I should say offensive-minded. Sorry, not offensive guy. Dan Quinn, defensive-minded. Shane Steichen, obviously offensive-minded. And Sean Payton, I think Sean Payton's very offensive-minded. Even though he's a pretty good genius at the defense. But that's what you got. Basically, that is your list of that these guys could be the next head coach for the Carolina Panthers. And these are the guys that I'm going to go back over this real quick. These are the guys that I predict that the Carolina Panthers are going to trade once they start this fire sale. Guarantee you they're going to trade CJ Henderson. Guarantee you they're going to trade away Shaq Thompson. I guarantee you that they'll trade away Robbie Anderson. And they're definitely going to trade away CMC. Now, if we need more draft capital and we need more cap space, then they're probably going to draft away Derek Brown, and they're probably going to draft away or trade away Dante Jackson. Okay. Now, these are the players that they were going to keep. I'm just recapping. Okay, so I'm recapping here. We're talking about fire sale, and then we're talking about next offensive coaches, right? Then I want to I'll give you my top 10. I have my list here of top 10 quarterbacks that I think are in college football. Gotta find my list here. I had it typed up in my Google Drive. Where's it at here? I'm just going to write it down when I got it. Okay, there it is. All right, so this is no particular order either, okay? I'm writing down my guys here. I'm just going to write them down just so that I have them for future references. So I have them in front of me. This is no particular order and what these guys are. And then, but I'm going to go over everything else. Okay. I'm going to do a recap here. Look at my boy. Grayson Mccall, baby. And I got notes beside him. I'll go over those notes here in a minute. Also, I'll go over my notes with every quarterback that I'm talking about. But I want to keep this list in front of me because I know people are going to ask me all the time, and I'm not going to remember all of it. Hell, I barely remember everything. I have to take notes, write notes down for you guys, so I'm very efficient when I'm doing my broadcasts here, my live streams. I always try to put together some notes and stuff for you guys. And I've been watching game film now a lot more, which has been pretty interesting. It's not easy. Game film's been pretty rough watching for the Carolina Panthers. I will be honest with that. All right, so let's go over things here. So first things first, we're going over this whole fire sale, right? Let me go through these comments real quick. Make sure you pound that like button as you're coming in, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Click that post notifications bell. Also, go check out betusa.com. Link down in the description. Use promo code Pantherology to get free money. On your first sign up with the link down in the description, you get 125 bonus also on your first deposit. So go check it out. Like, subscribe, get in the comment section. We'll answer back your questions or concerns. If you do have any questions or concerns about the Carolina Panthers, I'm here to answer them. I'll be your therapist for tonight. Yeah, going to do some review about this fire sale a little bit. Going to go over a fire sale here. Balance says, I've been saying since day one, Darnold to start week 7 against the Bucs. Let's see how long my prediction streak is going to last. We'll see. We will see. Wait, what did you predict last week, Balance, that your streak is still going alive? That's a protein shake, by the way. We just secured the number 1 draft pick, Ohio State QB, if it goes all well. Not opposed to it. Hey, how's it going, Pantherology? Been living in Surfside, Maryland area a week now. It's pretty nice. Here compared to Augusta, Georgia, still getting used to everything here, but really nice area. Yeah, man. Trey, it's a sick. I love Merle's Inlet. I go down there all the time. Definitely can have a nice little rough night down there, and there's some pretty ladies down on the Marsh Walk all the time. So if you see me down there, man, just you notice me or something, just say hi or something. Feel free. Maybe I'll buy you a drink or something, or maybe you can buy me a drink. All right. Anyways. So we're going to go over this fire sale real quick for the Carolina Panthers. All right. So first things first, let's talk about who we're going to trade away. Right. All right. My 4 options as of right now, and this is based off the top of my head and based off the cap and everything else that I was looking at, and who guys I think that we should probably just go ahead and trade. CJ Henderson, number 1. Not necessarily like 1, 2, 3, or 4 who we need to trade away the most, but first person that I wrote down was CJ Henderson. Secondly, Robbie Anderson. All right. Thirdly, CMC, and then fourthly, Shaq. And it hurts me the most to say CMC because I want him to be here. I want him to succeed with this team, with the Carolina Panthers, because he's such a special player. And so it hurts me to say that. Now, guys, there's also, I wrote some names underneath that don't be surprised if they actually trade these players away. And that is Derek Brown. Balance, you did not predict Baker's bench. He's injured, so it doesn't count. Don't be surprised if they trade away Derek Brown. He's playing at an elite level. He's ranked the number 11th best defensive tackle in the league right now. So, don't be surprised if they try to trade him away for some value. And then Dante Jackson. His contract is just, it's way too, it's not saying that for him, for him and his playing, it's too high. I'm saying that for us to clear up some cap space, it's just too, we need to get rid of it. Now, obviously, if we're able to trade CJ, Robbie, CMC, Shaq, and we get enough out of it, then sure, we won't have to trade either one of those guys away. But it all depends on what deals and what teams are willing to give for each and one of these players, right? Guys, we're going to keep DJ Moore, obviously, Jeremy Chin. I think we keep Frankie Luvu, JC Horn, Brian Burns, and Ike Ekwonu. Obviously, those big name guys. And I'm picking big name guys, right? So I think those guys for sure will still be here at the end of this whole fire sale thing, right? Now, I still think that we could possibly still keep Derek Brown and Dante Jackson as well. But they're also in that trade category as well. I could see it going either way. Now, let's talk about offense. Now, let's talk about coaches, okay? Got a list here of guys I think that we could hire and guys who I also think deserve to be hired and deserve to be head coaches as well. Obviously, I'm going to give Steve Wilkes a shot, man, right? Local guy, been there, knows the organization. I have a lot of respect for the man. So, Steve Wilkes, but he is a defensive-minded man. So, it kind of makes me not really want him as much just because he's defensive-minded. I would rather have an offensive-minded guy because this is what this team needs, right? 1-16, 1-27 when teams score more than 17 points. And an average football team in the NFL averages around 21 to 23 points a game. And we can't even do that. We can't even score more than 17 points. So an offensive-minded coach makes the most sense to me. Eric Bieniemy, we all know about him at Kansas City. We've seen what he's done with Patrick Mahomes and that offense down there or over there. So, he's a candidate for me. D'Amico Ryans, that name's going to be thrown around a lot, I think. Defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. Again, defensive-minded guy. But he did coach behind Robert Saleh before Robert Saleh went over to the New York Jets. And look how good I feel like Robert Saleh has done a very solid job over there with the New York Jets. Byron Leftwich, we all know him too well with him being the offensive play caller over there in Tampa Bay. He obviously can. I know he's got Tom Brady, but you also still got to be able to make the correct calls and play calling and coach this team up just as much. So I like him as well. Ken Dorsey, Buffalo Bills, offensive coordinator. I know he's got Josh Allen in that offense with Stephon Diggs, Dawson Knox, Devin Singletary, all those boys. But offensive-minded guy. We've seen what he can do. His play calling is not vanilla. It's not a very predictable offense. Most of these offensive-minded guys aren't. They're not Ben McAdoo, Mr. McDonald's himself, Ronald McDonald, Ben McDonald, however you want to call him. Dan Quinn. Only reason why I'm throwing Dan Quinn out there, he's been in this division before. He's got the Dallas ranked top 10 in defense right now. But he also has relations with Scott Fitter. That's why it makes sense to me. Shane Steichen, offensive coordinator for the Eagles, makes sense to me as well because what he's done with Jalen Hurts and how he's turned around that offense there. And Jalen Hurts is playing like a top 5 quarterback right now in the league. Who would have thought that after they brought this guy in, but he is. Then, of course, you have to. I'm saving. Honestly, I think this is the best pick, best person for the job, and who I would astronomically would love for to take over the job. But Sean Payton, who said it looks, delightful, basically, as a job to come be the next head coach for the Carolina Panthers, right? Sean Payton, man, was like 158 and like 86 or something like that, or 158 wins and like 68 losses, right? Like, the guy wins games. He doesn't lose very often. So, Sean Payton, and I feel like he's an offensive-minded coach. Great, I think best fit for me. Now, we can talk about the draft. Let's talk about my top 10. My top 10 quarterbacks I think are going to be in this draft. This is no particular order, but let's just start off with and I wrote all these down. Okay. I wrote everything down. Look, trade keeps. Okay. Coaches. Okay. And then obviously my top 10 quarterbacks in the NCAA. All right. These are no particular order though for these guys. Okay. Now we start off with Bryce Young, we all know who he is, the Alabama's quarterback. He's the defending Heisman Trophy winner. So, obviously it makes sense for him. CJ Stroud. I think he's right behind Bryce Young. He finished the 2021 year as a Heisman finalist. And he will likely see both, him and Young going after that Heisman Trophy this year. And he's considered to be the number 1 overall draft pick. Now, next, I want to talk about Caleb Williams. He's given us a small sample of basically what kind of player he is. He's proven how dynamic he can be. And now in 2022, he will have the chance to win the Jordan. In 2022, he'll have the. Oh, that's right. He'll have the. What is it called? The hell? Sorry, guys. In 2022, he'll have the built nick off winner, Jordan Addison, as one of his go-to weapons, as long with the former Sooner, Mario Williams. He'll likely be contention for the Heisman, especially if he puts USC back on the map in college football. So he's had a strong sophomore year campaign. And then I'm going to talk about my boy right now. It's Grayson Mccall, man. Out of Coastal Carolina. It's hard to ignore. I've watched him play. It's hard to ignore the play of McCall over the last 2 seasons. I would not be mad if we picked this guy. I know he plays for a small school, but trust me when I say this guy can be a pro NFL quarterback. He has combined for over 5,361 yards with 53 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. So he doesn't turn the ball over. It should be he's already had a special year already. And he's in his junior year here at Coastal. So I like him. Now, Devin Leary out of North Carolina State. He is one of the more underrated quarterbacks on this, I think, on this list. Last season, the Wolfpack were able to really rise up in the ACC behind Larry. And this team is among the top 25 teams once again. And they should be a team to watch out for, I think, in 2022. Hendon Hooker, we all know about him, the Tennessee boy. Once the Volunteers went with Hendon Hooker full time, they saw a huge mass of production out of him and in the position. Heading into his second season in Knoxville, Hooker, I think, should be the best that the SEC has to offer besides Bryce Young, honestly. KJ Jefferson, the last season for him for the Hogs, he's accounted last season for the Hogs, he accounted for the 3,200 yards from scrimmage, 27 touchdowns on offense. I think Jefferson does all kinds of things great, and a lot of people have compared him to Cam Newton. He's another SEC gunslinger that will likely make some noise. I could see him making some noise in the NFL. I just think he needs to, right now for Arkansas, he needs to just find a go-to weapon. So that's KJ Jefferson. Now, another guy I like to talk about here, Sam Hartman. He wasn't supposed to play apparently this year due to some non-football issues with Wake Forest. Did we lose internet connection? Because that's crazy. I was about to say, I was getting really weird. Okay, perfect. All right, Taylor Styles is coming in here. Knowing the Panthers fans, when Steve is unable to fix the 1,000 holes on this boat, they'll turn on him. Yeah, I mean, that's why I keep telling everybody they got to be patient. But anyway, so I'm going over my list here. So I'm on Sam Hartman, my top 10 college football quarterbacks that Carolina could look at too. Sam Hartman's one. He's the Demon Dinkins gunslinger. He's among one of the best in the country, I think. He has progressed year in and year out. And the evidence shows that he is among one of the top passers in college football. Now let's move on to Taylor Van Dyke. He's bursting on the scene down there in Miami. Obviously, Miami does not look too good, though, right now. They got a boost when they snagged a bunch of players down there in Miami, but they don't look good. I think Van Dyke is better than what Miami is showing right now, but Van Dyke is a very good quarterback. And then last but not least, which I don't think this guy is actually going to be a first round pick or anything. And I don't think most of these guys that I'm speaking about, the top 10 quarterbacks in the NCAA, but Spencer Rattler, obviously I might be a little biased because he is a Gamecock. The problem is with Spencer Rattler is that he's probably not going to come in this draft this year based off of what he's playing. All right. He's probably going to stay another year. And if he's smart, he will. But my top 10, I've already talked about him. I talked about Bryce Young. I talked about CJ Stroud, Caleb Williams, Grayson McCall, Devin Leary, Hendon Hooker, KJ Jefferson, Sam Hartman, Tyler Van Dyke, and Miami Spencer. And then Spencer Rattler. So to recap, we went over who I think we will trade away. Okay. So I think we're going to trade away in this fire sale. You're going to trade away CJ Henderson. So we're going to do a recap all over again, and then I'm going to end the live stream. We're going to trade away CJ Henderson. We're going to trade away Robbie. We're going to trade away CMC, and we're going to trade away Shaq Thompson. Okay. Go ahead and be prepared. Those guys are going to be traded away. Okay. Possibly people that we could trade away, depending on what we get all out of those four. Be prepared to see that Derek Brown could get traded away, or Dante Jackson. Okay. People I think we keep: DJ Moore, Jeremy Chen, Frankie Louvu, Horn, Brian Burns, and Ike Ekwonu. Also, I'm going to put on that list that we possibly could keep. And these are just in case guys that we don't trade them away. Same thing for the trade side. I still kept Derek Brown and Dante Jackson on that list. Those guys are very iffy. They're in between. Dante Jackson and Derek Brown, they either going to keep them or they're going to trade them, depending on what they get based out of CJ Henderson, Robbie Anderson, Christian McCaffrey, and Shaq Thompson. Now, how many quarterback out of my top 8? I think the top 8 coaches for the Carolina Panthers: Steve Wilkes. He's defensive minded though, kind of guy. Do we really need another do we really need a defensive minded guy? I don't think so. Even though unless Steve Wilkes is able to turn this place around, great. Let's hire the man. Give him a shot. Eric Bieniemy. We all know about him over there at KC with Patty Mahomes, seeing what he's done. Very offensive minded, obviously offensive coordinator, so offensive minded guy. D'Amico Ryans, defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers, but he's done very well there. We're behind Robert Saleh. Look what Robert Saleh's done down there, over there at the New York Jets. Could be a possible guy, even though he's defensive. He's a defensive-minded guy. Byron Leftwich. He's probably last on this whole list, in my opinion, as a head coach candidate, just because he's over at Tampa, and the fact of the matter, I don't know if it's really him that's really the play, if he's the one that's making the play call, or is it really Tom Brady, right? But could be he might be a really good offensive coordinator for all I know, or he might be a very good offensive minded coach. Ken Dorsey, offensive minded coach. We all know who he is, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, right? Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator. He's definitely a guy that we should definitely be looking at. Dan Quinn, the only reason why I'm throwing Dan Quinn out there is because he's got the Cowboys ranked 9th in the league for their total defense. Also, it's just because he has relations with Scott Fitterer. All right. Next guy talking about here, Shane Steichen, offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. We've seen what he's been able to do with Jalen Hurts. Possibly could be a guy to be a good fit for us as well. And then last but not least, who I think is the best and the most qualified person to be our next head coach on this list is definitely Sean Payton. Guy doesn't lose very often. That's who I like. All right, and then let's talk about draft prospects, and we're just going to talk about the quarterback because at this rate, we all know that that's basically what we might as well go ahead and look forward to in the draft is who we're going to be drafting at quarterback. I've got Bryce Young from Bama. This is no particular order. Like I said, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Caleb Williams, Grayson McCall out of Coastal Carolina. So Bryce Young out of Bama, CJ Stroud out of Ohio State, Caleb Williams out of USC, Grayson McCall out of CCU, Devin Leary out of UNC State, Hendon Hooker out of Tennessee, KJ Jefferson out of Arkansas, Sam Hartman out of Wake Forest, Tyler Van Dyke out of Miami, and Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler's dead last out of all these guys, I will be honest, even though I'm a Gamecock fan. But I don't even see Spencer Rattler coming into this next draft class. So that's just my opinion. So anyways, guys, if you're just joining the live stream, I'm actually about to hop off. Well, I will let you know before you leave, don't leave yet. Make sure you pound that like button, subscribe to the channel, click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new videos. You're more than welcome to come back and watch this live stream. It will be recorded. It will be on my YouTube channel. You'll be able to go back and watch what I talked about before. I talked about David Tepper's press conference, my takeaways, my opinions on it. Then I talked about my expectations from Steve Wilkes as the interim head coach. Then I talked about basically getting to know the Rams, learning about our opponent before the week 6 matchup, kind of going over them, what we can expect from them. Then also I went over the fire sale that possibly could happen with all these trades, who we're going to keep, coaches that we are going to look into, like I've just said here, and then quarterbacks that we could possibly should be looking into for our future. So make sure you pound that like button, subscribe to the channel, click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new content. Feel free to if you're feeling generous and feeling nice, and I know that inflation is going on, but if you feel like just throwing your boy a nice little cash app, it's going across the screen here. It's also the link down in my description. Also, go check out betusa.com. That is today's sponsor of this live stream. Go check them out. Use the link down in my description. Get a free sign-up bonus of 125%. Also, use promo code Pantherology of just the name of this channel, Pantherology. Use that code to get some free money. If you're a betting degenerate like me, who doesn't like to use free money? All right. So other than that, guys, as always, before I leave you, keep pounding.